I have a dream. I have a dream that one day every person who lifts a cup of tea will remember who they truly are. That the warmth in their hands will remind them of the warmth in their hearts, and that in a divided world, tea will be the circle that unites us. I have a dream that one day people of every nation, every culture, and every story will sit together, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as brothers and sisters, sharing the leaves that carry the wisdom of the earth, water, and time.
Welcome to a new episode of the DefDevice Podcast. Today I have Mr. Christian with me here. Welcome, Mr. Christian.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Donald.
Yes, we met online, obviously, and you are doing amazing stuff with tea. So please let us know what it is. What is your tea business about?
Yeah. So I have two businesses, right? I have LovePixel, which is the agency, and then I have One with Tea, which is the tea business. Um, I think it maybe makes sense to primarily talk or start where I started, right? Which was the agency, right? So
Mm.
born and raised in Germany, studied international business, and then I was like, where do I go from here? I did two internships at Google, and I found myself in an environment where I wasn't quite as happy as I thought I would be, right? So it was kind of like a golden cage in a way. So I said, well, if I can't be happy at working at Google or being an intern at Google, then what else do I need to do here? So I said I need to keep searching. So I started traveling. I went to Bali, I went to Indonesia, and started doing a lot of self-discovery. Um, I actually lived with a shaman for 6 months. It was very interesting, very spiritual.
Wow.
Um, I had in my entire life, it was always kind of like this oscillation between money and spirituality, right? And I think when we start out, we like to go to extremes because we like to test our limits. Like, how hippie do I want to be? How Wall Street banker do I want to be, right? And then we find our limits and like, well, I want to make this much money. I want to be this spiritual, right? And you kind of like go this, make this oscillation that is not as extreme anymore because I don't need to be living, barefoot in a jungle for, a year at a time,
No?
right? Well, it's fun, right? But is that something that I want to do for the rest of my life, right?
Mm.
So it's a great experience and a great like season of my life. Living barefoot in the jungle, not being able to connect, being connected to the matrix, to the world, to what's going on, to the economy in a way. Like, how do I contribute and how do I make money, right? And later on, you want to have a family that requires certain material needs. So I was like, okay, how do I make money? So I was in Bali sitting there and I was like, I, would love for people to, have something that is tangible, that is functional, that is beautifully designed. So it's like, why don't I help them create websites? Because that's what everybody needs when they start a business, right? So that's how I started as a freelancer, and from there, the agency sprung out of, and it was really, everything in my life is tied to love. That's why I love Pixel, right? And to go back to my, I would say, origin even more, and for people to understand where that desire comes from. So the mission with Love Pixel Energy is to make love tangible. Why? Why
Hmm.
not just make landscape websites and pump them out like a machine? You know? Um, and the reason for that, the main, driver for that was I grew up in Germany as part of an entrepreneurial family. We have my parents have a mushroom business, so we import and export mushroom and berries. So those are delicacies, and we sell them to gastronomies, restaurants, etc., etc. So I grew up in that environment, and it's a seasonal business. It's always very stressful in the summer, and then I rarely saw my my dad just being happy. He was always stressed out. He had all the money in the world that you would need for anything, really. And but he was always stressed out. And I was like, why? And if I am bigger, I don't want to be like that. That was kind of like the first imprint when I was like a teenager or even probably even younger. It was like,
Mm.
why is he doing all this stressed out? You know what I mean? What's the point of being alive, being a 40-year-old, 45-year-old at that time, my dad, that was his age, and not just being stressed out all the time. So I said, I have to find out what makes people happy because nobody tells you. Nobody, you grow up in school and do this and do that. Nobody tells you what does make you happy, right? Um, and that was a quest and a question that always was driving me when I was in my early 20s. And then before I actually went to Bali, after my studies, I went to the United States for a 1 month road trip. It was called Happiness 101. And it was me and my best friend. We were traveling across the United States asking 1,000 people what makes them happy.
Wow.
Because because nobody asks, right? Like, how do we know? Um, and in the beginning, especially, when we're younger, everything is like from the outside in, right? External sources define you. Your parents, the authority, the school, the grades, uh, what other people look like, having the Lamborghini and whatnot. And then over time you realize you come to like you slowly return to yourself over many, many years. And I think that process with the newer generation, like for example, I have a son, he's 7, that process is a lot quicker, right? Because they don't have to work through so much stuff. So yeah, from looking for happiness outside, asking other people in America, like, what makes you happy? What makes you happy, right? It's kind of like a study, like outside in. Um, and it's interesting because the results were people who were above average happy were investing above average time in spirituality, family and friends, and playtime and hobbies. And for me at that time, it was like in my early 20s, like, that's weird. I just want to have $1 million and a Lamborghini, you know? Like I don't think like I have great family, I have friends, I have playtime. Huh? I don't get it. And it's just like something that, like when you're young, you're just like, I don't quite get it. But it was a big sign back then because those answers held a lot of wisdom. Right? These these three areas of one's life hold a lot of joy for a human being. Um, yeah. So from there, I went to Bali and started my freelance thing and just self-discovery of what those values were, right? So from finding happiness on the outside to finding peace and love on the inside. And then from there, companies like LovePixel and One with T came.
Wow. That is a very impressive story. So you have discovered that happiness is actually something that comes from the inside and not from the outside. And I think this is a lesson we all need to learn along the way. I did a similar, like uh, asking people. I remember it was in Cologne where I walked around the streets and I asked people like, I'm not sure what the question. It was not about what makes you happy, but it was something similar, like yeah, what is your goal in life, something like that. It's very inspiring, very interesting, and I really appreciate your story because you went through this journey to discover happiness and to see that it doesn't come from Lamborghinis and money in the bank and all that, but it actually is something that comes from the inside. And to me, this is I mean, you're kind of, you already took the question, like, which I was about to ask you, like, what is the thing that you would tell 10-year-old Christian? And I think that would be definitely one of the things that I would have told 10-year-old Dano that happiness comes from inside. And that is the difference, the big, big difference between being what I call creator or a victim. Because
Hmm.
as a victim, we depend on what's coming from the outside, how people treat us, what they say to us, how much they pay us, and all that stuff. And that's being a victim. That's being just like being dependent on our outside world. But being a creator means that we do these things inside of us, and we actually create the value, and we kind of have this in our heart, and then it kind of goes outside, which makes us a creator and independent. But yeah, dude, we're going like on a very spiritual journey here, which I love. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Normally we talk business, but hey, I mean this
No,
is
it's very
wonderful.
cool. I think it's ultimately also the quality that makes us human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's cool to talk about business. I love talking, numbers and this and that. But at the end of the day, in 10 years, people are gonna still listen to this podcast because we talked about something that's human, not something that's just a number 10 years ago
Mm,
in a system that already
mm,
changed.
mm,
You know?
mm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
this type of conversation is what people are also longing for, what they're looking for, you
Mm,
know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very cool. And part of the reason why I contacted you in the first place, was because I was on your, DefDevice website, and then I found somewhere in the about section of the website to your personal website. And I found, all these kind of like little designations. Okay, who's Dano Falk? He's entrepreneur, he's designer, he's marketer, he's consultant, he's DJ, saxophone player, kung fu lover, biker, traveler, trader, you know, German born, German, born in Ukraine but living in Malaysia. Like for me, that I was like, God, this guy's like me. It's like another version of, you know.
Yeah, yeah, we have a lot
So
in common. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
it's very interesting. Um, to know that you also did kind of like this little survey in Cologne asking people what their goals are. And it's how funny how.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's yeah. I think on our last call we also saw that we have a lot of stuff in common. I mean, not to mention that we are both Germans, and we speak German, and it's actually fun to speak German to someone, which I don't get to do so much here in Malaysia. And yeah, you're also an entrepreneur, and you're traveling, and you're on this discovery tour, and you have this spiritual ambition to to discover what's on the inside, and how we can become creators. And I really admire that. Uh, Before we go deeper into this one, so maybe just quickly let us know what's the tea business you're doing. You're actually selling tea products, right?
Yes, so the agency has been around for 8 years now, and 2 years ago, I thought to myself, it was kind of at the point where, I have my team doing most of the things, I was kind of ready for something new because it felt like I had mastered everything that's in an agency. Like, yeah, I can
Oh.
scale it, I can grow it, but does that really excite me, right?
Mm,
So I ask myself the question, what really excites me, right? Where do I really want to go, right? It's like, yeah, agency's great. Let that roll, let that go, keep going. And but I would really love to bring tea to the world. And again, same question there. Why tea? Why LovePixel? Why one with tea, right? There's also a deeper, kind of like from inside out reason for that brand, Tea for me over the past, I would say 10 years has become such an ally and friend that's always there. It sounds weird, but it's all the hours that we spent in front of the computer as human beings to have something there that's always with you and that nourishes you, that keeps you going, keeps you focused, that's not hard on your body. In the opposite, it's balancing in your body, right? And there's
mm,
different ways you can use tea to balance different parts of your body. That's a whole nother traditional Chinese medicine direction we can go down into.
mm,
Like for me, I look at everything in life as energy, right?
mm.
Everything is masculine and feminine, like divine masculine, divine feminine, like yin and
Yin
yang,
yang.
and yang. Exactly.
There
You
you
know?
go.
So when I see something, a person, a project, a brand, tea, a substance, coffee, right? When I look at these things, I look at them through the lens of energy. What is their component of divine masculine, divine feminine? And then depending on my needs as a human being, um, whether that's a physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental need, I can fulfill that need through consuming tea. Or
Hmm.
tea's not gonna do it. I'm gonna use coffee because that's more masculine. I'm just gonna be in a tunnel for the next hour, you know? Or matcha, which is also a little bit more masculine in terms of like energetic imprint of tea. Or do I need something that just something flowery, like for example, hibiscus tea. Like for example,
Hmm.
in the afternoon, I want something that doesn't push me as much anymore. I want to just like calm down, chill, relax. Or again, if I need to work, I choose something that, pushes me a little bit. But yeah, everything in life, I look through the lens of like the energy of masculine and feminine.
Wow. Dude, that's a
So
lot of wisdom for it for a young guy like you, man. I'm very
this
impressed.
type of projection, this type of um, thought leadership and um, yeah, wisdom I want to bring to the world. I want to bring to
Hmm.
America. I think
Hmm.
America is an incredible country. You can be free. Yes, life is expensive and life is a little like the Wild West out here. Um, but you can still be and become whoever you want to be. And uh, sometimes it consumes you. So, tea helps you to stay, centered, aligned.
Hmm.
And this is
Hmm.
the type of culture I want to bring to the US as part of One with Tea, which we
Hmm.
sell on Amazon. And yeah, you can look us up.
Hmm. Yes, we will definitely make sure that people can find your Amazon store in the description. Yeah, so the German guy who brings tea to the US. Ah, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Nice. Dude, I mean, we already have been going around your life journey quite a bit, but as I mentioned before, one of the questions I love to ask my podcast guests is, let's meet 10-year-old Christian. Um, and I'm sure there's something we haven't heard yet. So, what was it like when Christian was 10 years old? Where was he? What was he doing? What was on his mind?
Yes. So I'm gonna pour some tea here.
Let's get some tea first. Yeah. Oh, that's hot tea, huh?
Um, when I was 10, I was living in Germany.
Which
Um,
part?
in a small part of Bavaria,
Hmm.
north of Regensburg. So
Hmm.
south countryside. It's very much like how to explain this? I don't know. It's just like yeah, countryside. I think if you say
Yeah. All right.
countryside is
Yeah, I'm
you
familiar. I
know
lived in Bavaria for 30 years. Yeah, so
yeah.
I
I
know.
think people can I think understand when I say countryside because it's just not city. Like
Hmm.
traditions are there. Life is slower. Things change slower. You care about what neighbors think. All this kind of stuff that comes with countryside, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You think you know better in a way. Like countryside has this like old, it's just like it's always been this way. It should always be this way. It's like
Hmm.
this like vibe. So
Tradition. Hmm.
yeah, tradition, exactly. So that's where I grew up. And when I was 10 years old, I was always very creative. Um, and one thing that I remember that was like kind of like a sad moment in my life was when I was 10 years old and I loved dancing. Back then I think I loved the song Frozen by Madonna. That was
Mm.
like in at that time. Um and I just like I loved just like it was such a deep song, in love in Frozen. Just like swirling around and stuff. But for my parents and the environment where I was, I think like they saw how much into it I got, and for them it was like a little bit scary. It's like, oh, this is weird. Like, is he a girl or kind of is something like that? It's like they didn't quite understand like that dance is a form of expression.
Mm.
And so one time I said them at nighttime, hey, I want to do a dance performance for you guys. And then
Mm.
I did that to that song, and I remember how there was like like you understand, like you do something and you give your heart, you give your soul, and then your parents, whom are your gods at that age, right? They leave little to no reaction. You
Mm,
know? They're
mm,
just like, what? You know? They didn't even say like, oh, great, or clap, or it's like they just, I don't know. Like for me, it's such a funny moment in my life that I still remember to this day. And even when I was a teenager, I was like, I loved to dance. I loved to dance, but I felt like I could never pursue this as being a dancer, being an artist, being like that expressive version of myself. So I was like, okay, I guess this doesn't land with the society. It's not approved. It's not supported. Um, I'll have to just do something more practical, right? So
yeah.
then that's when, around the age of 15, 16, when I realized, yeah, I don't know. I just gotta, I guess, something with business or something like
Mm,
that. Like, 'cause that's where I grew up in, making money, doing something that everybody does. But that's one thing that I remember. And what I would say to my 10-year-old is just keep expressing yourself, right? Whether it's dance or whether I could do that to the fullest expression. Like I channeled all my creative energy through my creations, like
mhm,
digital creations through LovePixel, and then physical creations like One with Tea, or even before LovePixel, I had a brand called Love Rope,
mm,
which was also a physical product. It was vegan leather, and it was a little metal disc that could wear as a bracelet, and you could
mhm,
stick into it the letters.
mm,
Something like "You are light," "You are loved," stuff like that, right? To just like
mm,
I wanted to give people a reminder of like, hey, there's something more than just
mm,
making money and living in the world. Like,
mm,
look, here's your reminder. It doesn't have to
mm,
be a tattoo, because it's like too extreme for people,
mhm,
especially in Germany. It's like, oh, a
mhm.
radical person having a tattoo. Um, but so I made it a bracelet. It never took off the brand itself.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I made that my mission. Like with everything I do is I want to make love tangible. Like, how can I have people experience love and connection with themselves with the things I do and share? That's it.
That's amazing, man. I mean, it's such a unique and such an adorable purpose that you have there to kind of make people experience love. That is way beyond the normal e-commerce goals of, I want to sell more stuff and make more money. And I really admire that. Your ambition is incredible. And yeah, so we already talked, we already met 10-year-old Christian, and you already shared what you would have told 10-year-old Christian. And yeah, I can completely resonate with that. Um, so anything else you would like to share with us today, or anything else you would like to share with our
Yeah,
audience, like in
sure.
terms of like what should, I mean, typically we look at all this business stuff, like how can I do better? But I think in your case, it goes a bit beyond like doing better in business and making more money. I think in your case, you have more of these spiritual and emotional goals. So, but please share with us what is it?
Yeah, I think sharing when you start a business from your core, from your heart, from your soul, whatever it is, from the inside out, it is something that is just you're building a legacy brand. You understand?
Mm,
Yeah, I can start selling, I don't know, a teacup or coffee spoons
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. You understand? But
Mm,
uh, I am not here to just make money temporarily or follow a trend or follow a fad. I am here to live a legacy,
mm,
right? And so when it comes to that, something like a legacy brand like, Toyota, Apple, these things, they need to come from the heart, from the inside. And
yeah,
that's the business that I am in, right? Like with the agency supporting people who have a voice, who have a mission, right? And then doing the same thing for myself in different, just like I'm like a tree, different branches. Okay, one with T is one branch, the agency is one branch. My podcast is another branch, right? So
Hmm.
um, it's called the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. And
Wow.
the goal there is to collect people and have conversations with people who have both, right? The
Hmm.
divine feminine and divine masculine, right?
Hmm.
You know how to do business. You're not like Elon Musk, but you know how to do business, and you have this connection to spirit, to your soul, to yourself, and you want to be of service, right? So bringing those two worlds together, which for me that is kind of like the sweet spot of people I want to be around with. So yeah, that's why I started a podcast. I want to cultivate a community of those type of people.
Fantastic. I will definitely check out your podcast, man. I didn't know you had one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
many things to a tree.
there's a lot of things to learn from you, Christian. It's been really amazing having you here. And let's make sure that people can find you online. And we will leave all the details in the description so people can contact you. They can find your podcast, your Amazon brand, your agency, and everything, and get in touch with you. It was really amazing to hear your story, and I think there's much more to it. But I think for today, I would say thank you for everybody who's still listening. And Christian, let's stay in touch and see what we can do further.
Amazing. Sounds good. And to close, is it okay if I read a little part of my mission statement here, the one with
Yes,
T?
sir. That's fine.
Cool. So it's actually called I Have a Dream, and it
Mm.
inspired a famous speech by Martin Luther King, right? So I have a dream. I have a dream that one day every person who lifts a cup of tea will remember who they truly are. That the warmth in their hands will remind them of the warmth in their hearts, and that in a divided world, tea will be the circle that unites us. I have a dream that one day people of every nation, every culture, and every story will sit together, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as brothers and sisters, sharing the leaves that carry the wisdom of the earth, water, and time. Thank you.
Om Namah Shivaya. Great, man. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time.
Likewise. Thank you, Don.